Hello, I'm Scott Rubin. Like the slide says, it's a free event, but y'all know the situation that's going on in Chicago right now, so if you have funds, please donate them to some orgs. Here are two of them that I like, but you can make your own decisions. Also, if anyone's following the New York City mayoral race, it's going to be called probably in 20 minutes. So I'm not going to be checking my phone, just shout it out so we can move on. But if we're playing, just don't shout it out. Okay. So I want to know who you are. Let me turn my phone off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can we just go around the room, name, pronouns, and 3 words about yourself? We can start over with Jeff.
My name's Jeff, he, him, and I'm an experimental guitarist and drummer.
Isaiah, he, him, I guess audio technology in general, experimental audio technology.
In the back.
I'm Jay, he, him. Do a lot of Eurorack now, but play guitar and going through teaching myself keyboard right now. And
Up front here.
My name is Essen. I use he, they pronouns, and I make music.
Cool.
I'm Ben, he, him, mostly curious, but used to be a sound guy in the church context, but I haven't performed in 20-some years, so just play around there mostly.
Kevin Pierce. I make techno and electronic music, and I do visual arts with touch design.
Cool. So it seems like everyone here is a musician, works with tech in some sort. Who has worked with dancers? Raise your hand. Okay, who is curious about working with dancers? Yeah? Yeah. Nice. Does anyone improvise? Improvise music? And then, you're all curious or you wouldn't be here. All right, a little bit about me. I play viola and guitar. I'm a composer. I'm a composer in that I'm classically trained. I play viola. I used to write symphonies, string quartets, notes and rhythms on pieces of paper, conducting orchestras, that whole shtick. I've been working with movement artists since 2014. Why movement? When I was younger, I did karate. I did a lot of social dancing, swing dancing, tango, salsa, all that. So movement was very closely tied to music. So when you go see an orchestra, a lot of people are fixated on the conductor, but they're the only person who's not actually making sound. Everyone else is making sound, but they're kind of a catalyst or a vessel through which the sound goes through, and I think it's perplexing. So music has always been tied to the body for me, and a lot of what I try to do is recontextualize and amplify the body through different means. So how do I interpret movement? Kind of through 3 ways. So if I'm doing whatever and I'm working with a dancer, there's the surface level interpretation of what is the dancer doing physically and how do I respond to that? And then so let's take ballet. Ballet looks very graceful. It's effortless. It's very nice. Whatever. What is the labor behind that movement? So, as Dooley knows, ballet is very hard to do. You train for years. You never quite get it right. It's very stressful on the body. And the deepest layer for me is how does the dancer feel about the labor that's producing that movement? So it could be very stressful. It could be maybe they don't want to be there. Another dance style I can reference is Butoh dancing, if you all know that genre. It came out of Japan after World War II. It's the way it was taught to me, it's like a meditation that manifests through movement. And it can be very slow. To me, it's kind of scary, but I love it. And there's usually tragedy happening behind the movement that I like to interrogate. I've been an improviser for about 10 years now. Why improvise? Hi. I'm so sorry I put you on the spot. but can you tell us your name, pronouns, and like a couple words to describe yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kate. Pronouns she, her, and I work with sound. Presenting next week. So.
You're Kate N.
Yeah.
Of course, welcome. We went around the room before you came, so I wasn't just being weird.
Later.
So why do I improvise music? I was finding that when I was writing music down, you spend months on it. You might get a handful of rehearsals with the musicians, 1 or 2 shows, and then you learn that, the clarinet doesn't actually mix with the trombone and the percussion like that. When you improvise music, you're building community and you're building relationships and you study behavior and politics. So how do people work together as a group? How do I function in this situation? How do I manage change? And I think to me it's fascinating, like not only from a sound point of view, but from a relationship point of view, which I was like talking about above. How do people feel about what's going on? How do they react accordingly? And then how do you move forward? I work with technology, cameras, wearable motion sensors, Max MSP. Raise your hand if you fuck around with Max MSP. Okay. Raise your hand if you fuck around with Touch Designer. Fewer. Great. We put a camera on we taped one to the pole up there. That's important. And I have 2 motion sensors on my desk, which I'll use in a demo later on. Why tech? I use tech as a means to an end. So when I was talking about amplifying the body earlier, I can do, like, Dooley and I can just play a duet where I'm just playing my viola and it is what it is. You can amplify the body through a sensor, through a camera, through medical devices, through clothing, like audible clothing, through a costume. Am I missing anything? Many different ways. And that's all data. And it goes, and you can make data do, whatever you want it to do. That's what Max MSP is for. That's what Touch Designer is for. So if a dancer, you watch the old Disney cartoons, when Mickey Mouse falls down the stairs, you hear a boom. Maybe that's not how you want to play with a dancer. Maybe you want to map the movement a little differently. So technology allows me to do that. And then lastly, creative relationships are a core pillar of my artistic practice. Dooley and I met in 2018. We've been working together for a long time. We know each other's languages, we know each other's sounds, and the collaboration propels itself. I joke with my partner, if I wasn't a musician, I wouldn't have any friends. That is 100% true. And these are just a couple pictures of my projects throughout the years. I'll move on. All right, I want to introduce my dear friend and collaborator, Dooley Berra. She is a movement artist, multiple styles, an educator and producer of Ballet Unboxed, which, if you want to speak on that.
Sure.
All right, yeah.
Hi everyone. I'm a movement artist. My background is in classical ballet, as well as some classical forms of Indian Bharatanatyam, and some contemporary forms as well. But at this point, I kind of identify as an improviser. I've worked in multiple styles of dance, and I feel very comfortable improvising. Ballet Unboxed, it's a series of free classes that I started producing last year. They're ballet classes. I brought together a bunch of different educators. Also a past producer and current advisor of Jello Performance Series, which is actually housed here at Elastic. Definitely check it out. That's all I'll say about myself.
All right, if you change your mind, just take the mic. We've collaborated on a bunch of projects, and the one we're going to be discussing today is called Ritual Is. This is a project that we performed on September 12th of this year. Was anyone at the performance? Raise your hand. No? Oh, one person. Oh, of course. Yeah, Nicole. Right, so 2 people know what's going on, the rest of y'all. I'm not going to play the performance for you, but we're going to demo some spots here. So the performance was in 5 sections, and each one is a different way of working with dance and sound and movement and improvisation and all that. So we are going to focus on the first, the third, and the 5th section. So I'm going to play we're going to go into the first one, then the 5th one, and then the 3rd one we're going to perform live. So the first one, I use an audio track with real-time, algorithmic, discrete speaker routing. So what does that mean? An audio track, as you might guess, is just an MP3 file or a WAV file, something that is fixed, something that you render, and you can hit play, and you take your hands off the computer. Real-time, algorithmic speaker routing. So real-time means it's not fixed. It can happen differently every time. It's run by an algorithm, so some equation that we'll get into later. Discrete speaker routing. So we have 16 speakers on the ceiling, and they are numbered 1 through 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If you send a 1, it comes out 1. If you send a 5, it comes out 5. So discrete speaker routing, meaning that I cannot make a sound come out of there because it's not a speaker, it's just ceiling. I'll stop there and I'll play the first section. It's about like 5 or 6 minutes of sound. And then for the sickos in the room, I'll show you the patch I'm going to play. So this is the patch for the piece. If you put it in performance mode, it looks like that, all neat and tidy. I know we have some Max users here. I can answer all your questions. Let me just cue it up and we'll get started. Ritual is hitting the snooze button twice before you actually need to get out of bed. Ritual is perfunctory, your morning routine. Shift, shower, shave. Ritual is knowing the number of steps between your bed and the toilet, and navigating it at 3:30 in the morning while half asleep. Ritual is wondering why bad things happen to good people, wondering why what goes around doesn't always come around, wondering what God is. Ritual is prep work in the kitchen. 2 shakes of this, a splash of that, dicing onions, mincing garlic. Ritual is recipe. Ritual is worrying, packing your bag. Did I forget anything? Am I on time? Ritual is anxiety. How's my mom feeling? Am I taking care of myself? Am I taking care of my community? Ritual is thinking about my meal, helping my computer, thinking about sound, thinking about relationships, thinking about ritual is making art. Ritual is making art with friends. Check. So that was, you can clap, you don't have to. So that is a single audio track. It's mono using algorithmic discrete speaker routing. So the way I did this is I used 3 automated variables to spatialize the track into discrete speakers. So the variables are the speaker number. So each speaker has a number. I put these numbers into a list, and this list is controlled by a call list, which I can get into what that means. The time per speaker, so the amount of time it spends on each speaker before it switches to the next one, and then the sample length. So how long is the sample? It's a fraction of the time that is spent on that speaker. So the call patterns are in here. Inside each of these, and okay, you just have a little bit of code that says the first number in the list is 1, the second number in the list is 2, all the way up to 16. And you can do some funky things with it. This says the first number on the list is 10, then 11, then 7, and so on. So each time the cycle goes through once, I hit a trigger, pick another random list. So you always get some variety in how the sound is panning through the room. The 2 variables, speaker interval, and then sample length. So speaker interval is the amount of time before change. So it maxes out at 2 seconds, so 2 seconds per speaker, and 2 seconds in the next one. And then maybe I want that to go down to 500 milliseconds. And the sample length here is going to be a fraction of the speaker interval. So I might say I wanted 50% of the speaker interval, so that'll be 1 second, down to very small blips, where you just hear like pops around the room. And that all is just controlled by a series of bangs and delay objects. And this is just very tedious to get this right. It took a lot of trial and error. Are there any questions about this? This is very high-level Mac stuff. Please feel free to ask questions. Yes.
Um,
We have a second microphone over there.
Sorry, we're recording it, so everybody, please use this.
Also, if you don't want to speak into the microphone, I can repeat your question for our thousands of streamers on Twitch.
I noticed the patterns moving through the different routes, but the select O and 1 that go back and forth on the lower right,
Oh, yeah.
what does that control?
It controls nothing. I think I was using that to test. So there's no outlets coming out of the gate. So that's just something I forgot to delete.
it would flash at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Because when I'm at home and I'm making this, hey Bill, when I'm making this, I don't have 16, I have 2. And so I think this modulo 2, I think it's called, it's a way for me to take the 16 speakers and just go down to 2 speakers very easily. So, are there any other questions before I move on from this sample? All right, y'all are an easy bunch. All right, I'm going to play the last section of the piece. All right, so this section is about, I created 2 stereo audio tracks, so 4 total channels, and I play them at the same time. And I spatialized them in 2 concentric circles with points on opposite sides of each circle. So 2 channels on the inner circle, 2 channels on the outer circle. That is garbage English. It's impossible to understand that. I'll explain it more later. But the 2 variables I want to control is how fast do the points spin around each other, and these are the control speed, which are controlled with timed ramp messages. In the piece, this is the very end. There's a lot that has happened, and I kind of wanted to just like put the listener in a swirl. So let's see if it plays. I know I have to open up this gate first, and then I can send it. So this is the last section ending. And it'll crossfade into the last section.
Ritual is cracking your knuckles. First to right Ritual is before you know it, it's happening.
Ritual is wondering why that
Ritual
is
is yoga.
wondering why what goes around doesn't always. Wondering what costumes. Ritual is Ritual is knowing the number of steps. ritual is worry. Happy with that. Not to get anything planned. Ritual is anxiety. Love my mind. I might be prepared myself.
So that's how the piece ends. The way this is organized here, as you can see, there's two sound files at the top. One I treat as the inner circle of sound, and one is the outer circle of sound. And I have these variables here. I had to look up on the internet how to, like, equations to make things go in a circle. I used to be really good at math, and then I wasn't. So some trigonometry, some equations, and that's how you get it spinning. And you have a rotation and a speed. I'm not able to explain that. I could if I wasn't having a beer right now. And then this is the speed of rotation, I think one of them, and then I forgot what R means. This took me like a while to figure out. I'm gonna go on to the next section. Were there any questions on that? Yeah. Could you get the microphone? I'll open up the patch again. I think I closed it prematurely.
I was assuming that the R meant radius, maybe, for the side of the circle.
Yeah, R is radius, V is probably velocity.
But how is the counter working? Is that what's influencing the speed as the counter
Yeah.
increments up?
Yeah.
And then
You need something to keep it going.
yeah, on the left, was that used at all, the different cues, or was it just the two files?
Oh, so this is from section 4 of the piece,
Okay.
where I'm not talking about today because it's just this predetermined discrete panning where I say, what was happening in section 4? Oh, section 4 is when we're dancing together and I'm playing viola and I'm trying to move at the same time, and it's very elegant, but I didn't want to touch the computer. And you know, when you're doing music, performance, live performance, you want to take a calculated amount of risk, so you know, like, there's maybe 1,000 things that can go wrong, but I don't want 2,000 things that can go wrong. So if I'm going to try all this fancy shit in section 3, maybe section 4 is a bit easier on my mind. So some things have to be easy, some things maybe not so easy. Are there any other questions on this bit before I move on? All right. Section 3 is probably why you're all here today. This is the part that I'm most proud of. This was my stretch goal for this piece. This was the thing that I was concerned would break. What this is dance and live audiovisual electronics. So improvising with the dancer, using the cameras, using the sensors, using the live instrument, using the projections, pulling out all the stops, and saying a prayer before you leave the house. So how do we make the sound? The sound reservoir is me, a live viola, and some pre-made samples. So Dooley and I have been working together for a long time. We did a project earlier this year where she cooked us dinner, and I recorded her doing that with a microphone. So like rice being washed in a pot, the sizzling of eggplants, chopping on a cutting board, all these unwrapping an onion. That's my favorite sound, I think. And then using a camera. So you have a camera taped to the pole up there, and then there are motion sensors on my desk that Dooley will put on in a moment. And I'll go through the approach. Then we're going to take a 2-minute break, a bio break, and then we'll play. So the webcam is going to see Dooley, and body tracking is done inside a software called Touch Designer. And Touch Designer has a library called Media Pipe. So think of a library as a group of functions that all accomplish something similar. So what Media Pipe does, it uses machine learning, a very small machine learning engine, to see where the body is and to draw a skeleton. It can see your face, just with a bunch of points. So you don't have to connect to the internet, so you're not stealing stuff from artists, it's just body tracking. So we divide the room into 4 quadrants. You might see the tape on the floor, so Dooley knows which quadrant she's in. And we identify where Dooley's left hip is, and that is what I call her position. So depending on which quadrant she is in, things will change. So the sound presets are activated depending on what quadrant she's in. There are 3 collections of 4 quadrants each, so 3 sets of 4. Each preset then uses motion sensor data to control how, does anyone know what a granulator is? Okay, so what a granulator does, you take a sample, maybe it's 4 seconds long, and say I want to take just like 2 seconds of this sample, I want to cut it up into 1,000 pieces, so very, very small grains, maybe each one is 60 to 100 milliseconds long. And then I want to reshape these and spit them out. So what you end up getting is a sound that kind of sounds like the sample, but it's in a totally different shape. And I use these because I think it works very well with the dancer. So for our moves, you might hear like a swoosh kind of sound, but it won't sound like a swoosh, it'll sound like my instrument, or it'll sound like a 1,000 onions being peeled, right? So the sensors control how 8 granulators granulate samples and the live viola sound. And I can mix the samples and the viola together using this MIDI controller on my desk. So the total electronic sound is then combined into 2 channels, and the spatializing uses body tracking and sensor data. So what that means is, so we know where Dooley is in the space. I have that point on my screen, which I'll show y'all, and then I take the motion sensors and I use that data to kind of fling out things from that point. So if she is standing here, I think that's mapped to over there. And if she's not doing anything, the sound stays there. But if she starts, activating herself, the sound will fling throughout the room, and I can show you the equation for that after we play. So yeah, the webcam view is mapped to the speaker array. Dooley's hip is the center of the sound. Rotational velocity data from the sensors are used to fling sounds away from the center. And it's better understood if you just look at the patch. We'll do that after we play. So the more the dancer moves, the wilder the velocity of the sound is. That doesn't make any sense. The wilder the velocity of the sound is away. I haven't given a talk in probably 6 or 7 years. What's next? Okay, so we're gonna jam. I'll be right back. Does anyone have any questions before I check out for just a moment? All right. Talk amongst yourselves. We're going to get ready. I have to pee.
haven't seen the election results in New York?
Yes.
Not in yet? They closed the polls, but not sure yet. All right.
10% up to 42% reporting.
All right. It's that balance at 60% reporting compared to like 40s for everything else. I guess we'll find out on the other side.
Check, check. Yeah. Hold on, find.
Just wanted to say that was incredible.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to find the PowerPoint. There it is. All right, what just happened? Body and room as instrument. The camera tracks where Dooley is. The motion sensors track how she's moving. We combine both that data, so different parts of the room will sound differently at different times, and it'll look differently on the projection. Camera sensors, the camera and sensor mappings in Maximus Paint Touch Designer, sound sources being the samples and live viola, and semi-autonomous mapping preset switching, parentheses, I don't like to touch the computer while I'm performing. This is very personal to me. Everyone has their own opinions. I don't like to touch my computer if I'm playing viola, especially if I'm with another performer, because I want to be engaged. Like, my eyes are locked on her. I don't want to be checking my email or my Twitter, whatever. So semi-autonomous. Things need to run on their own. They also have to be interesting. So how do you make patterns that are kind of regular but not so regular? So I can go into the patch. Was this everything I wanted to talk about today? Oh, that's fun. Okay. So, y'all, does anyone have any questions on this before I get to, like, programming? Yes.
So there's some pretty minute movements. So is that based off of how much detail that the camera can actually like see?
So the movements are not based on the camera footage. The movements are based on these sensors. Actually,
Oh,
want to put these back on? Okay, so I'll show y'all what I'm doing. So here's the main patch. So Dooley, can you put your, just move one, not the other. Okay, so we see that activity in sensor 1, and then the other hand's going to be sensor 2, right? So, and you can see the video freaking out in the background. So it's going on, hold on a moment. The presets are here. This is going to get wild, and if this bothers anyone, let me know, and I can close the window. Okay? All right. So, what we have here, a bunch of granny buffs. We have 4 of them. And one is taking a sound file that's called crinkling 1. So this is like probably crinkling an onion wrapper or like maybe a bag of rice or something. And so we're controlling the trigger rate, the duration, the rate, and the gain of the sound. So the gain is how loud it is. The trigger rate is how many times per second does it happen. The duration is how long is each grain. And the rate is how fast does the grain play. So we have a bunch of variables, and they're each controlled by some way that Dooley's moving the sensor. So sensor 1 is going to be her right hand, and GY is gyroscope in the Y direction. So that's going to come in from -1 to 1, and it's going to be mapped to, say for duration, between 100 milliseconds and 300 milliseconds. So that's what is producing the sound. So when she's doing those small movements, it's that code that's running. It's not the camera. I can show you what the camera is doing. This is tough. Okay, here's the, yeah. So I get left hip data X, left hip data Y, and Dooley, if you want to, can you walk around the room? So you can see little dot moving around. It's moving in a square. And I just pack that as X and Y. And here's the what's the distance calculator? What did I do here? Oh yeah. I wrote this code a long time ago, so this just calculates what sector she's in. Oh my god. I'm not going to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is, let me see if I can find it. Okay, this patch right here. This is what I call the jitter math. So, like I said, the camera sees where in the room she is, and it maps it to the speaker array. How she's moving around will produce these flinging sounds, right? So we have the sensor 1, and then we just have a random number, and the random number determines the direction that it goes. So I want it to go in a new direction every time, and the magnitude of gx or gy determines how far it goes. And I have a visualization of it, but I forgot where I put it. I should have been better prepared for this. I think it's in here. Yes. Yes, it's down here. So it might be the colors. Oh yeah. So the colors on the projector, they mute some things, but I think there's 2 other circles around this that we're not seeing. Let me double check that. Yeah. So Dooley, if you can move around the space. So you can see how there's that dot's moving around, but it's kind of jittery. There's 2. I'm colorblind, so I don't get to see everything. But there's 2 other dots around there that are jittering around the main dot. So that's how.
White is pale.
Yeah.
See it.
It's hard with the projector, but that is how it's happening. Are there any other questions about this? Sorry, that was a super long answer to a simple question. Anybody else? Come on, you can't be that easy. Yeah.
Wait, can you explain again?
Can you explain again how? Oh no, those are just sweatbands. No, those are tracking your movements.
Yeah, this is where the sensors.
Yeah, so
those
we have two sweatbands. They have little zippers, and you can put the sensor inside of it.
Oh, that's dope. Okay, so in theory, you could put the sensors like anywhere you wanted to, like anywhere where you have most access to move. You could like do one around your like a choker sensor or whatever. That's so cool.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
My question is for Tuli. Like, how is so I don't know how to formulate it exactly, but like, how is your sensation of control and production? Do you like? I don't know if you had a lot of practice with this tool, and if you, few by few, were able to have a kind of masterizing this and be able to really control what kind of sound effects you produce. If you have a feedback on
I
this.
think I know what you're asking. I mean, I've been working with these sensors for over 5 years, so I can kind of speak to when I first started using them, and it felt very much like a toy, like I was trying to figure it out. Yeah, and that kind of took over my, like, you know, the spontaneous choice making I might have as an improviser. So this kind of dictated my movement more so. But now, as I, you know, get more comfortable with it, it has become more of an instrument that, you know, like, that I've practiced with. And so it's so incredible because it, you know, yes, there are times where I like really want the movement or the sound to shift based on what Scott's playing and the presets of like the field recordings and all of that. Where am I going with this? But it's more so I feel more comfortable with my body and making those choices, and this is a little more, there's more of like a negotiation, like a constant negotiation happening versus like, it's about this, or it's about just my movement. But yeah, it's come with time, and I feel like it's another part of myself and how I can like amplify my own movement and also just have, using the room as an instrument, but also being in relation to Scott and knowing that like what he's playing, I'm in, you know, I'm not controlling it, but I have some effect on it, and vice versa. So it's just so cool to feel the different relationships. There's so many different, with me, with the room, with the projections, just me with myself and my own mind. So does that answer your question a bit? Yeah, it's fun. I still am very excited by it. But I can, at this point, kind of forget about it and just I just do what I want to do. Yeah.
Bill.
Do you have a sense of the skill ability?
No, take,
I'll get it from.
I'll take that one.
I just had a question, if you have a sense of the scalability of the system, either in terms of dancers and sensors or audio.
So I own 4 sensors. Scalability depends on software, and so I use the free version of Touch Designer, where MediaPipe looks at one person. So like if we want to take this further, we'd get maybe a duo or 4 dancers, and each one has an instrument or a sound library, and y'all do quartets with each other.
Yeah.
I would have to pay for the professional version of Touch Designer. I think it's like $600 or something like that. Maybe one day. For now, no. But it's a good question. Yes.
Are we going to get to see the Touch Designer patch?
Sure. Sorry, I started learning Touch Designer 2 years ago, and so I'm not the most confident in it. Let me make this easier for myself. Okay. You work in Touch Designer, I take? Yeah. All right, here's the pack.
Wins.
Huh?
Donnie wins.
Oh, thank God. I'm excited for New York City. Thank you. So, MediaPipe is here. And I'll walk in here and you can see me going across the screen. You can see my body. And if the sound around me, you'd hear something. So this comes out, you have some pose tracking, and you do some numbers on it, and I just wanted the left hip. And then this is how you send it to MaximSP. And then up here this is the webcam. I have to do some math on the webcam. And then all of the special effects are housed in this scenes. So I have, what's this? 20 maybe? I don't know. I have like 20 scenes, 20 different presets. Yeah, exactly. So you can change between scenes, and I trigger scene changes depending on if she crosses a threshold. So if she's in a different quadrant, it just picks another scene. And it's a way of linking the sound to the projections.
How are you picking another scene?
So I'm able to see where in the room Dooley is. I divide it into 4 quadrants, and I know when she's changing quadrants.
Yeah.
So in MaximSP, we call it a bang. A bang is just a signal. It can mean anything you want it to mean. So if she's going from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, I get a bang. I can say from this bang, I want you to pick a random number 1 through 20. And those might correspond to these scenes, so it'll change the scene. If she goes to scene, or quadrant 4, it happens again. So I can make this fixed, so I can say every time you're in quadrant 4, I always play scene 3, or it can be more random. And I prefer a little bit of randomness.
But
yes.
when you were playing the violin, you weren't choosing.
Sorry, could we get her, where's the other microphone?
This is helpful. So you're like when you were playing the violin, how are you choosing the scene? Or is that
I'm
what you
not.
said you're not doing it?
No.
You're not doing it like live.
So the control that I do have is I have some faders where I can mix the sound that's using the electronic samples with my live viola sound. And I have 3 groups of 4 presets each. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But there's 3 groups of these. So I have 3 buttons I can hit. So if we get tired of this collection of presets, I can go on to the next set or the next set. So I like to give myself maybe like 10% of control over the scene, but I really want the improvisation to be organic. Like that's that visceralness, the it's so important to me.
Mm-hmm. That's some beautifully complicated stuff, y'all. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you don't have to say yes, but if there's any way you could show us some of the movements and how that correlates to the sound? Check.
You're asked to do some of the movements and how they correlate with sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see, because you're talking about like the gyroscopes in them. So like if you were, let's say, to flick your hand, and is that a different code than a different movement? So like you have like flick, and then you have up and down.
Yeah. Would you like to? What's your name again?
Really?
Yeah. If anyone in the audience wants to try these on and move around the space.
I feel like you.
Yeah.
They're
Just.
a little sweaty, so maybe just hold.
My name's Essay.
One more time.
Essay.
Essay.
Essay, yes.
Essay. And what's your name?
Oh.
Oh, good. You two know each other. The body tracking can only sense one person at a time.
Oh, okay.
So one of you has to sit
Okay.
down.
Go first.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Should I put both on or just one?
Yeah, you can put both on. Let me get this started. Hold on. I gotta move some shit around. Do you care about the projections or not so much? Just the sound.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
That's everybody else. I don't. I'm down for both.
All right.
Or what?
Let me see what I can do. I just need to.
So what do you guys say?
I mean, so it can track like, I feel like height. I don't even know anymore.
So
How quickly you move.
let me go back here.
Okay.
So so we have acceleration, gyroscope, which is more of like rotational movement, then pitch, roll, yaw. If you're in an airplane, like pitch, I forget what these are, like pitch is like this, roll is like this, and yaw is whatever the third dimension is, I forget. But you can move around and see how your data appears on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so since, I don't know which one is,
Isolate one hand.
yeah, so let go of one hand and
So,
then just look
yeah.
at it.
So you see acceleration in the z direction and the x direction.
So that's
And now-
one.
Try twisting your wrists around. You'll get more rotational velocity. Yeah. You have some pitch in there.
Swinging.
So it's not meant to be. Here's the mic. Check. So it's not meant to be gesture recognition. There are libraries for that, but that's not what I'm interested in here. When I've worked with a bunch of dancers, the thing that I tell them is like, don't try to do anything, just dance. Because I don't want you to like, play imaginary drums. That's not what I'm interested in. I just want you to move how you move, and I'll figure out the rest. You want to try it? All right, let me figure something out. Actually,
I will say, it is also fun to try to figure it out.
Right, so-
I know what's happening. Yes.
you can walk around the space too.
So interesting. Wanna try real quick?
Alright, hold on, let me make one adjustment here. So, for pedagogical purposes, close that. I'm just gonna put the touch designer window on the screen, because it might be more beneficial right now. So we're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna go in here. So you can see on the right is gonna be your skeleton, and on the left is the sound. So, try it.
Yeah, so you can come in and you'll
Yeah.
see yourself.
Oh yeah.
So you're in the,
It's a lot of fun, right? Does anyone else want to try? Oh, come on. All right. No one else wants to try. Y'all are allergic to fun. All right, that's fine. I don't want to force anybody. Does anyone else have any more questions? Because that's all I got. The last slide is just a thank you. If you want to talk to us, that's how you talk to us. A few of y'all who came in late, I just wanted to say it's a free event. If you could donate to some orgs, put your money there. If you can, do it, please. But that's, I want to thank you all for coming. I think the next part of the program is y'all can plug in your own laptops. You can experiment with CLEAT. But I appreciated sharing all this with you. I hope it was as inspiring to you as the process was to me. Yeah, Julie, you want to say anything? All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. That was amazing. Okay, so for the next phase, this is like the tour of CLEAT / plug-in if you brought your laptop section. We should probably try to get out of here by like 9:30, but that gives us 40 minutes. So I'm gonna go back behind the bar and I can show you the physical setup, like what is this thing? And then anybody who did bring a laptop can plug in and try to make it work with their